your conscious mind is the head office of your life. Its role is to deal with the information in your environment and then to identify, analyze, compare it against other information, and then to decide what actions to take. But it is your subconscious mind that contains the great powers that can enable you to accomplish vastly more than you ever have before. At least 90 or more of your mental powers are below the surface. It is essential that you learn to tap into these powers to motivate, stimulate, and drive you forward toward the achievement of your goals. Your subconscious mind functions best with clear goals, specific tasks, deliberate measures, and firm deadlines. The more of these with which you program your subconscious computer, the better it functions for you, and the more you will accomplish in a shorter period of time. As you set your goals and begin moving toward them, it is essential that you establish a series of benchmarks or measures that you can use to evaluate your progress day by day and hour by hour. The more clear and specific the measures you set, the more accurate you will be in hitting your targets on schedule. Your subconscious mind requires a forcing system composed of deadlines that you have imposed on yourself for task accomplishment and goal attainment. Without a forcing system, it becomes easy for you to procrastinate and delay and to put off important tasks until much later, if at all. There are 3 keys to peak performance in achieving your goals. They are commitment, completion, and closure. When you make a firm commitment to achieve a particular goal and you put aside all excuses, it is very much like stepping on the accelerator of your subconscious mind. You will be more creative, determined, and focused than ever before. Great men and women are those who make clear, unequivocal commitments and then refuse to budge from them no matter what happens. Completion is the second ingredient in peak performance. There is an enormous difference between doing 95% of a task and doing 100 of a task. In fact, it is very common for people to work very hard up to the 90 or 95 level and then to slack off and delay the final completion of the task. This is a temptation that you must fight against. You must continually force yourself, discipline yourself to resist this natural tendency and push through to completion. Every time you complete a task of any kind, your brain releases a small quantity of endorphins. This natural morphine gives you a sense of well-being and elation. It makes you feel happy and peaceful, stimulates your creativity, and improves your personality. It is nature's wonder drug. The more important the task that you complete, the greater is the quantity of endorphin that your brain releases. Very much like a reward for success and achievement, over time, you can develop a positive addiction to the feelings of well-being that you receive from this endorphin rush. Even when you complete a small task, you feel happier. When you complete a large task, you feel happier still. When you finish the various steps on the way to the completion of a large task, at every achievement, you get an endorphin rush. You feel continuously happy and exhilarated when you are working steadily toward the completion of an important job. Everyone wants to feel like a winner, and feeling like a winner requires that you win. You get the feeling of the winner by completing a task 100. When you do this repeatedly, eventually, you develop the habit of completing the tasks that you begin. When this habit of task completion locks in, your life will begin to improve in ways that you cannot today imagine. In psychology, the reverse is always true. The incomplete action is a major source of stress and anxiety. In fact, much of the unhappiness that people experience is because they have not been able to discipline themselves to follow through and complete an important task or responsibility. If you have ever had a major assignment that you have been putting off, you know what I'm referring to. The longer you wait to get started on an assignment and the closer the deadline approaches, the greater stress you experience. It can start to keep you up at night and affect your personality, but when you finally launch into the task and push it through to completion, you feel a great sense of relief and well-being. It is almost as if nature rewards you for everything that you do that is positive in life, enhancing. At the same time, nature penalizes you with stress and dissatisfaction when you fail to do the things that move you toward the goals and results that are important to you. One of the most popular movements in modern management is toward the balanced scorecard. Using these scorecards, every person at every level of the business is encouraged to identify the key measures that indicate success and then to give themselves scores every day and every week in each of those key areas. Here is an important point. The very act of identifying a number or score and then paying close attention to it will cause you to improve your performance in that area. For example, if someone were to tell you before a meeting that you were going to be evaluated on how well you listened in that meeting, your listening skills would improve dramatically. Within a few moments, you would listen far more carefully and attentively throughout the meeting because you knew that this behavior was being observed. In the same way, whenever you select a goal, measure, or activity that is important to you and begin observing or paying attention to it in your day-to-day life, your performance in that area improves. One of the most helpful actions you take in your own career is to set benchmarks and create scorecards, measures, metrics, and deadlines for every key task that you must complete on the way to one of your goals. In this way, you activate your subconscious forcing system. This forcing system will then motivate you and drive you at an unconscious level to start earlier, work harder, stay later, and get the job done. The third C after commitment and completion is closure. This is the difference between an open loop and a closed loop. Bringing closure to an issue in your personal or business life is absolutely essential for you to feel happy and in control of your situation. Lack of closure, unfinished business, and incomplete action of any kind are all major sources of stress, dissatisfaction, and even failure in business. They consume enormous amounts of physical and emotional energy. Perhaps the most important ability in the world of work is dependability. There is nothing that will get you paid more and promoted faster than to develop a reputation for getting your tasks done quickly and well and on schedule. Whatever your goals, make a list of all the tasks that you will have to accomplish in the achievement of those goals. Put a deadline on every one of those tasks. Then work every day and every hour to hit your deadlines. Measure your progress each day as you go along. Speed up or slow down where necessary, but remember, you can't hit a target that you can't see. The greater clarity that you have with regard to deadlines and measures, the more you will accomplish and the faster you will get it done. A goal or a decision without a deadline is merely a discussion. It has no energy behind it. It is like a bullet with no powder in the cartridge. Unless you establish deadlines to which you are committed, you will end up firing blanks in life and work. Sometimes people ask, what if I set a deadline and I don't achieve the goal by the deadline? Simple. Set another deadline and then another if necessary. Deadlines are best guess estimates of when the task will be completed. The more you set and work toward deadlines, the more accurate you will become in predicting the time necessary to complete them. You will become better and better at achieving your goals and completing your tasks on schedule. Every time you have heard the question, how do you eat an elephant? And the answer is one bite at a time. And the answer is one bite at a time. This metaphor applies to achieving any big goal as well. How do you achieve a huge goal? You accomplish it one step, one task, one measure at a time. Break your long-term goals down into annual, monthly, weekly, and even hourly goals. Even if your long-term goal is financial independence, look for a way to break that down into how you're going to use each hour of the coming day in such a way that long-term financial independence is far more likely. If you want to increase your income, you know that all income is a result of added value. Look at everything you do and then ask yourself how you could add more value so that you can be worth more than you are earning today. Go and ask your boss, what one thing do I do that is more valuable than anything else? Whatever his or her answer, look for ways to perform more and more of that task and to get better and better at doing it. It is absolutely amazing how much you can accomplish if you break your tasks down into bite-sized pieces, set deadlines, and then do one thing at a time every single day. You have heard the old saying, by the yard it's hard, but inch by inch, anything's a cinch. If you want to increase your hourly rate and your income, look for ways to get a little bit better at the most important things you do every single day. Read 1 hour per day in your field, listen to audio programs on your way to and from work. Take additional courses whenever you can. These activities will propel your entire career onto the fast track. When you invest an extra 1 or 2 hours per day in self-improvement, the cumulative effect on your greater ability to get results can be extraordinary. If you want to lose weight, there is a simple 5-word formula: eat less and exercise more. If you discipline yourself to eat a little bit less, but eat higher quality foods and simultaneously exercise a little bit more each day, you can get into the rhythm of losing 1 ounce per day. No matter how much you weigh today, if you lose 1 ounce each day, that will equal about 2 pounds per month. 2 pounds per month will be 24 pounds per year. In no time at all, you can retrain your body and your appetite so that you lose the weight and keep it off for the rest of your life. If you want to become wealthy, begin to question every single expense. Set a goal to save $3, $5, or $10 per day. Put this money away in a savings account and never touch it. As it grows, invest it carefully in well-chosen mutual funds or index funds. Make daily, weekly, and monthly saving and investment into a habit and keep it up for the rest of your working life. In no time at all, you will become comfortable living on slightly less than you are spending today. As your income increases, increase the amount that you save. In a few weeks, a few months, a few weeks, a few weeks, a few months, a few years, you will be out of debt and have a large amount of money put away and working for you. A few years down the road, you will be financially independent. If you read 15 minutes each evening rather than watching television, you will complete about 15 books per year. If you read the great classics of English literature for 15 minutes each day, in 7 years, you will have read the 100 greatest books ever written. You will be one of the best educated and most erudite people of your generation, and you can achieve this just by reading 15 minutes each evening before you go to bed. If you are in sales and you want to increase your income, keep careful track of how many calls, presentations, proposals, and sales you are making each day, each week, and each month at the present time. Then set a goal to increase your number of calls, presentations, and proposals per day. Set a goal to increase your number of sales each week and each month. Every day, measure yourself against your own standards in each area of your life. Analyze your activities carefully and select a specific number that more than anything else determines your level of success in that area. Then focus all of your attention all day long on that specific number. The very act of focused attention will cause you to perform better in that area, both consciously and unconsciously. If you want to be healthier, you could focus on the number of minutes per week that you exercise or the number of calories per day that you eat. If you want to be successful financially, you can focus on the amount you earn each hour or the amount that you save each month. If you want to be successful in sales, you could focus on the number of calls you make each day or the number of sales or the size of sales you make each month. If you want to be successful in your relationships, you can focus on the number of minutes that you spend face to face with the most important people in your life each day and each week. You have heard the saying, what gets measured gets done. There is another saying, if you can't measure it, you can't manage it. Your ability to set specific measures on your goals and then to keep an accurate record and track your performance each day will assure that you achieve your goals exactly when you have decided to or even before. Success is not an accident. It is a skill. It is predictable and it can be learned. And it can be learned by you and it can be learned by anyone. And the sooner you learn this skill and the sooner you become an expert in the skills of success, the sooner you achieve the great things that you were born to accomplish. Many people think that you have to be very intelligent to be successful in life. Exhaustive research shows that many self-made millionaires have only average intelligence. The reason why this helps them is that they never become impressed with how smart they are, and they're always trying to learn more. An average person with average talents and abilities and average education can outstrip the most brilliant genius in our society if that average person has clear, focused goals. Without goals, you are doomed forever to work for people who do. The average self-made millionaire works over 60 hours per week, and this is the one single factor that they all have in common. In our society, you work 8 hours per day for survival. Everything over 8 hours is for success. Somewhere in America, someone becomes a millionaire every 12 minutes. The clock is running. Get ready. This could be your time. Today, more people are becoming successful faster than any other time in human history. Someone, somewhere in America, becomes a millionaire every 12 minutes. At least 80 95% of these millionaires are self-made. That is, they started with nothing but ambition and energy, the same way most of us start. Many of those of us start. Many of them never went to college. Many of them only got average grades in school. Many self-made millionaires started with no advantages at all. Today, we know more about how to achieve great success in life than ever before. Success is as predictable as the sun rising in the east and setting in the west. Today, success is a science. It has been broken down and subdivided, and anybody can achieve greater success, wealth, and happiness in life if they will simply do two things. First, make a decision to be successful right now. Most people never decide to be wealthy, and that's why they retire poor. And the second requirement if you want to achieve greater success is simply this: learn from the experts. Study successful men and women and do what they do, and you will be successful too. It sounds simple, doesn't it? If you want to be successful, you study success, you become an expert on success. And I'm always astonished that men and women think about success day and night, and yet very few of them ever read about it, ever study it, ever listen to tapes, ever take courses or seminars. They seem to excuse themselves by feeling that these are the sort of things that they're going to learn by osmosis. At age 25, I started and built a 100-person sales force covering 6 countries, doing $1 million per month in business by simply practicing some principles I had learned at that time from books and picked up from other people. However, as time went on, I lost those principles. I forgot the principles, and I reached my state at the age of 30 where I had no skill. I had no training. I was deeply in debt. I was going nowhere, and that's the point at which I made a decision. I made the decision I was going to be successful, and I was going to do whatever was necessary to achieve it. I was going to pay whatever price was necessary to accomplish my goals. This was my turning point. I sat down and I thought through everything I had learned in my 30 years. I'd read many books on success, and I listened to many tapes, and I attended many courses, and I developed a simple system based on the best success principles I had found, and then I put it to work. By 1985, 5 years later, my simple success system had brought my income up to over $1.5 million. I increased my income by 100 times in 10 years. And what I discovered over the years of study and practice was simply this: if you design a success system and follow it, you will be far more successful than if you don't. Any system based on sound principles is better than no system at all. Recently, they've been dividing new business startups into 2 categories. The first category is businesses started by people with 5 years or more of business experience. And the second category is businesses started by people with no business experience at all. The statistics turn out to be very different for these groups. Businesses started by people with experience in business have a 90 or better success rate, whereas businesses started by people with no experience have a 99 failure rate. If you don't have any experience, how can you make a business successful? Business is too complicated. The reasons are obvious why people with experience succeed and people without experience in business. It's the same in life. People with success, knowledge, and experience succeed, and people without it fail. We know that the more successful you are, the more successful experiences you have, the more likely it is that you will be successful in other things. We know that the fewer success experiences and the less success knowledge you have, the less likely it is that you'll be successful. Do you know the success rate for an established franchise, one that's been in business for at least 5 years? Well, according to the experts, it's a 70 to 90 success rate. McDonald's, for instance, has over 8,600 outlets, and they haven't had a failure in 25 years. Now, why should this be? Well, the reason is simple. A franchise is a proven success system. It is a system based on years of trial and error. All you have to do with the franchise is to do what you're told, follow the system, and your success is almost guaranteed. McDonald's executive told me once that every single farmer that has ever bought a McDonald's franchise has been extremely successful, whereas very often bays and people from the universities and people with previous business experiences will buy franchises and they'll try to change the system. Instead of following the success principles, they'll try to change the system, and they run into nothing but problems. One of the great keys to success is to use proven success methods. Learn from the experts. Don't try to reinvent the wheel. Life is too short for that. Surprisingly enough, most people either never study success, or if they do, they ignore what they've learned and try to do it all on their own. Let's look at some of the general principles of success we've discovered over the years. Number one principle, most important of all, is that success begins inside you. It starts from the inside out. It is a state of mind. It is a function of your character and your personality. Remember, it is not what you do so much as who you are that counts. Number two, the psychology of success simply equals mental fitness, which is a feeling of self-confidence, happiness, enthusiasm, and a positive mental attitude. Because if you have feelings of unshakable self-confidence, happiness, enthusiasm, and a positive mental attitude, nothing in the world can stop you from being successful. Number three, your level of self-esteem. How much you like yourself, how much you respect yourself and accept yourself as a valuable and worthwhile person is the foundation quality of all success, all high achievement, and all peak performance. The more you like yourself, the better you do everything you turn your hand to. Point number four, the purposeful development of self-esteem is the psychology of success. Everything you do that makes you feel more positive towards yourself in your life builds your self-esteem and improves your level of mental fitness. In other words, when you use proven success methods every single time you do and you get a positive result, you get a jolt of self-esteem and self-confidence that makes you feel great about yourself and enthuses you to go on to the next effort. Number five, true self-esteem arises from an enhanced feeling of competence. Everything you do that gives you a greater sense of mastery and achievement boosts your self-esteem. Number six, your self-esteem is largely determined by how much you believe in yourself. Your beliefs, more than anything else, determine your reality. You always think and act in a manner consistent with your innermost convictions. If you change your beliefs, you change your life. Many people think that you have to be very intelligent to be successful in life. Exhaustive research shows that many self-made millionaires have only average intelligence. The reason why this helps them is that they never become impressed with how smart they are. They're always trying to learn more, always curious and open, asking questions.
It's this that gets them the information that guarantees their success. Many people think you have to go to college to be successful.
There's an enormous number of self-made millionaires and successful people in every field who never went to college. As a matter of fact, half the college graduates in America are working for people who didn't finish high school. In my estimation, number seven, your level of self-esteem is determined by how much you believe yourself to be valuable, competent, worthwhile, respected, and important. Everything you do, every experience you have that causes you to feel more valuable raises your self-esteem. Every experience that causes you to feel less important or less valuable lowers yourself. A team undermines your self-concept and impairs your effectiveness. Number eight, the opposites of self-esteem are fear, stress, psychosomatic illness, personality problems, negativity, cynicism, mediocrity, defeat, and failure in life. In fact, almost all human problems stem from low self-esteem, from the fact that people don't like themselves very much. Fear is a failure, fears of poverty, rejection, criticism, and loss that hold us back are all rooted in low self. A team. Number nine, it is possible to change your feelings, your attitudes, your opinions, your ideas, and beliefs about yourself by feeding your mind with a steady stream of positive, constructive messages that are consistent with the outcomes you desire rather than the outcomes you fear. You do become what you think about. So it's very important that you continually feed your mind with thoughts, words, pictures, ideas, and images that are consistent with the person you want to be, with qualities and attributes you want to have, with a lifestyle that you desire. Number 10, you should use positive affirmations, which is called positive self-talk, if you like. Repeat it over and over to yourself with enthusiasm and conviction. In other words, emotionalize the things that you say to yourself. Say things to yourself like, I like myself, I like myself, I like myself, I like myself, I like myself. Whatever you say that, your self-esteem goes up. Whenever you say that, you feel better about yourself and you perform better. Number 11, visualization. Practice visualizing yourself with the qualities, attributes, and behaviors you desire. Create clear mental pictures of your desired results over and over. And the last thing you do before you go to sleep at night is visualize yourself performing excellently. Visualize yourself enjoying having achieved your goals. Visualize yourself as the person you would like to be. Remember, your subconscious mind is activated by mental pictures, and it then makes all your words and actions fit a pattern consistent with your most intensely desired goals. It controls your body language, your tone of voice, your levels of energy. So the more you think, talk, and visualize what it is you want to accomplish, the more likely it is you want to accomplish, the more likely it is you will say and do exactly the right things to cause it to happen. Number 12, when you use affirmations and visualization in combination with an attitude of positive expectations, you do two things. First of all, you become a positive, optimistic, cheerful person with an attitude that is essential to success. You can't imagine a really successful person who is not positive, optimistic, and cheerful. And number 2, you begin attracting into your life people and circumstances in harmony with your dominant thoughts. This is called the law of attraction, and what it says is that whatever thoughts dominate your thinking, you are going to attract people and circumstances into your life that harmonize with them. Now, this law of attraction works whether your dominant thoughts are positive or negative, so be careful. Keep your thoughts positive. You'll attract positive circumstances, and if your thoughts are negative, you'll attract negative circumstances. Number 13, feed your mind continually with positive books, magazines, tapes, videos, and seminars. Avoid negative people, negative books, negative newspapers, negative magazines, negative stories. Feed your mind with positive information, which helps you, which is consistent with where you want to go and what you want to be. You are very susceptible to what is called the power of suggestion, and you are influenced by every suggestive element in your environment. You're influenced by what people say and the books you read, the newspaper headlines, and the news on television. If you do not consciously keep your suggestive environment positive, it will tend in our society to be predominantly negative. Number 14, associate with positive, cheerful, optimistic, success-oriented people. Remember, birds of a feather do flock together, and the choice of negative people to associate with can condemn you to a lifetime of failure and underachievement. Dr. David McClellan at Harvard University found in 25 years of research that the choice of a negative reference group, the people that you associate with and identify with, can sink you in spite of all the education, opportunities, and advantages that are given to you. Remember, you can't fly with the eagles if you scratch with the turkeys. Get around winners. Get around positive people. Get away from negative people. Get away from negative people. Get out of negative corporate environments. Get out of negative relationships. Don't associate with losers. It doesn't matter how long you've known them. If you associate with losers, you will be a loser. And if you associate with winners, you will be a winner. And by the way, sometimes people say, well, if I disassociate myself from my friends, how am I going to meet successful, positive, winning human beings? Don't worry about it. If you start thinking success, if you start feeding your mind with a steady stream of messages that are consistent with success, if you start visualizing yourself as successful, you will attract by this law of attraction. You will attract by this law of attraction, you will attract into your life people who are like yourself. Number 15, act the part. Pattern your conduct, behavior, and actions after successful people if you want to be successful. Remember, success starts from within, not from without. If you have low self-esteem or poor self-image, or if you lack self-confidence, as I did, as everybody does initially, it's very difficult to change merely by thinking about it. It means that you can act your way into feeling high levels of self-esteem by doing the same things that people with high self-esteem do. Mental fitness is like physical fitness. It can be learned through repetition and practice. Remember, mental fitness is positive self-esteem, high levels of self-esteem, high levels of self-confidence, and courage. And you can learn it by practicing. This was the secret that turned my life around, and I've since learned that it's the key reason for the success of thousands of ordinary men and women. Well, what have we learned? Number 1, top of the list, most important, success is not an accident. It is a skill. It is predictable, and it can be learned. And it can be learned by you, and it can be learned by anyone. And the sooner you learn this skill and the sooner you become an expert in the skills of success, the sooner you achieve the great things that you were born to accomplish. Number 2, if you want to be successful, you must use proven success methods. You must learn from other successful people. You must study success. You must interview successful people. You must find out everything you can about success from every source possible. You must become an authority on it. Number 3, the great majority of people fail in life. That is, they do not fulfill their potentials and achieve the health, wealth, and happiness of which they're capable. They sell themselves short. They settle for far less. Number 4, your level of self-esteem, how much you like yourself, how much you respect yourself and accept yourself and regard yourself, and what you esteem yourself is the most important single determinant of your success when you are successful. You feel tremendous about yourself, and when you are not, you don't. And everything that happens that builds your self-esteem is going to move you more rapidly toward achieving your goals in life. Number 5, remember, everyone suffers fears of failure and fears of rejection, self-doubt, lack of confidence, feelings of inferiority, inadequacy, and guilt. Guilt is the great problem of the 20th century. Feelings of inferiority come from childhood. Fears of failure and rejection go back to destructive criticism in our early formative years. Remember this: successful people are not people who don't suffer those emotions. They're simply people who have learned how to master those emotions through practice, and so can you. Number 6, you become what you think about. The stream of thoughts, words, and pictures that flow through your mind determine your personality, your attitude, your behavior, and your results in life. And finally, number 7 is this: the great discovery of behavioral psychology is that if you engage in the same actions as positive, focused, self-confident, successful people, you will come to think, feel, and act like them naturally. That even if you don't feel like it, if you pretend, if you fake it until you make it, if you act the part, you will begin to think, walk, talk, act, and feel like a successful person as naturally as breathing in and breathing out. Why is it that so many people fail in life? Self-improvement books are among the best-selling books in all the bookstores. Millions have read them, and yet the vast majority continue to live lives far below their potential, achieving far less than they're actually capable of. For years, I've studied success and failure, and I'm going to explain why people fail so you can be alert to these tendencies in yourself and others, so you can recognize the behaviors that lead to failure and make a conscious effort to avoid them. Why do people fail? Economists say that the inability to delay gratification is a primary predictor of economic failure. In life, people fail because they do what is fun and easy, rather than what is hard and necessary. Success and failure are more the result of habit than of anything else. Probably 90% or more of everything we do is dictated by habit. And once a habit, good or bad, is formed, we become comfortable with it, and then we strive to remain consistent with what we're familiar with, even if our habits are leading to failure. Psychologists call this tendency to become comfortable getting into our comfort zone, and even if our comfort zone is keeping us at a low level of performance, we stay in it rather than change. All change for the good in our lives begins by changing our thoughts and actions so that we form habits that assure our success and then make those habits our masters. The key is self-knowledge and self-awareness of why it is we feel and act and walk and talk. When we study human action, we find that human beings, all of us, value leisure. So given a choice between an easier or harder way, we will always choose the easier way, because the sooner we get the job done, the sooner we can enjoy leisure, the sooner we can enjoy leisure, the sooner we can take it easy. Now, in this sense, we are all basically lazy. This is neither good nor bad as such. It is only what we do as a result of this laziness that is good or bad. All human progress in science and technology comes from the tendency for people to seek faster, easier ways to get the things that we want. So, in a certain sense, laziness is a motivator to human progress. A second characteristic of human nature is that we each try to get the very most for the very least expenditure of money or effort. In this sense, then, we are all greedy. This is neither good nor bad, just basic human nature. We are greedy in that we always want the very most for the very least, and we are never satisfied, and we are continually striving to get more and more all of our lives. We are never, ever really contented. The third characteristic is that each of us strives continually to improve the quality of our lives. We may not always succeed, but every action we take is an attempt to be better off than we would be without the action. In this sense, then, every human being is ambitious. So far, each of us is lazy, greedy, and ambitious. We may be ambitious for different things, and we may have more or less opportunity to realize our ambitions, but we are all ambitious. The fourth characteristic is that each person thinks, acts, feels, and experiences happiness or unhappiness by and for themselves. Everything we do, even charitable acts, we do because in our personal opinion at that moment, it is the best thing for us as we see it. Selfishness, self-centeredness is essential for survival and is neither good nor bad in itself. It just is a fact of human nature. A fifth characteristic of human nature is that because no one in the world can possibly know everything there is to know about even one subject, we are all acting on the basis of incomplete information every time we act. In this sense, we are all ignorant. No matter how much we learn, we must still act with some uncertainty, some ignorance of the facts. Often with great ignorance, sometimes complete ignorance, sometimes complete ignorance. Finally, as human beings, we have an ego. We think very highly of ourselves, as every study shows. We consider ourselves to be superior to others in many ways, in terms of intelligence, personality, appearance, leadership ability, and so on. Another way to put this is that we are all vain. This is neither good nor bad, just a normal facet of human nature. We all want basically the same things in this order of priority, although we want them with different degrees of intensity, and we settle for different levels of achievement in each of these areas. First of all, security. Security is number one. This is our basic need, the survival instinct, security of life and limb, physical security, economic security, emotional security, emotional security. We value security very, very highly. Any threat to our security in any area brings an immediate reaction to protect and defend. Lack of security makes us angry, fearful, and defensive. The second thing that we want is comfort, and this is what we go for once we've achieved what is to us an acceptable level of security. We seek comfort, especially physical comfort. We pay an enormous amount and work very hard to gain the comforts that we desire. The third thing, once we have enough comfort and security, we want to relax. We want to take time off. We want to take time off. We want leisure and to put up our feet. Leisure is a valued good, and we work very hard and pay dearly for it. Holidays are leisure. Golf is leisure. Tennis is leisure. These are the leisure time activities in our societies. They consume hundreds of billions of dollars. Remember, we are all basically lazy. We like leisure, and we will pay very highly for it. Number 4 is love. We seek the affection and the love of others. This is something we desire so intensely that we will even die for it. Each of us needs to be loved to feel fully human, and we strive for it all our lives. The fifth thing that we all want is respect. We need to be recognized and respected by others outside our family group. Because we are basically vain, we seek the praise and appreciation of other people. We will make great efforts to earn and keep the goodwill and respect of others toward us. Finally, the sixth thing that we want is fulfillment. Each of us has a deep inner craving for a sense of meaning and purpose in life, and here is the key point. The basic law of human nature is that people always tend to seek the fastest and easiest way to get the things they want, and usually to get the things they want right now. I call this the expediency factor, or the factor, and it explains why people succeed and why they fail. Families, corporations, organizations, and nations succeed and fail because of the unwillingness to delay gratification, as we spoke about earlier. The vast majority of people immediately act to get the things they want now, the fastest and easiest way, even if the long-term consequences of their actions will be underachievement and failure. Here are some common examples with which we're all familiar. A young man drops out of high school to take a job to buy a car to impress the girls. That's the expedient thing to do. And the long-term price is a lifetime of low wages and frustrating work. This is called short-term gain for long-term pain. A second example, which we see all the time, is unions. They strike for higher than market wages at the long-term price of permanently crippling the industry and causing permanent unemployment for their members. A perfect example is Chrysler Corporation, which almost went bankrupt because of outsized wage settlements in previous years. A third example, which we see, is government employees increasing their budgets and staff to inflate their salaries at the long-term price of huge government deficits, inflation, and economic recession. I'm convinced that most of our economic problems in society come from expecting people in government to act in our best interests when they are put into office. When the entire governmental system says that the bigger your area of responsibility, the higher your budget, the greater the number of staff you have, the more you get paid. So when push comes to shove, the government servant, by basic human nature, will opt to increase the size of his department in order to increase the size of his rewards. It causes the vast majority of men and women to indulge themselves at whim, to ignore the secondary long-term consequences of their actions, and by refusing to delay gratification, to engage in short-term pain for long-term gain. They condemn themselves to lives of frustration and disappointment. A factor explains most failure in adult life. Only those rare few men and women, less than 5% in each generation, who consciously master themselves and resist the gravitational pull of the E factor ever really succeed in the long term. So, one human quality that must be developed for success is self-discipline. The willpower to force yourself to do what you know you should do when you should do it, whether you like it or not, whether you feel like it or not, whether you feel like it or not. A famous study spanning 12 years concluded that successful people are simply those who make a habit of doing what unsuccessful people don't like to do. And what are the things that unsuccessful people don't like to do? They're the same things that successful people don't like to do. But successful people do it because they know that that is the price of success. It has been said that hard work, persistence, and focusing on clear, specific goals are the keys to success. That's true, but these are merely the outer expressions of self-discipline. Self-discipline in action. Your key to success in life is to resolve to do what you know you should do, what other successful, self-disciplined people do when you should do it, whether you feel like it or not. True self-esteem, the foundation quality of your success, comes from mastering yourself, resisting the temptation to take the fastest and easiest way, and sticking to what you know to be right until you win through. This is the psychology, the mindset of success. Self-esteem requires self-discipline, and self-discipline builds self-esteem. Well, what have we learned? The first thing that we've learned, number one, is that failure is as predictable as success. You must be aware of what failures do and don't do it. And since the great majority of men and women are going nowhere with their lives, you must be very careful to observe in your environment people who are going nowhere. Don't do what they do. Don't read what failures read. Don't watch what failures watch on television. Don't spend your time the way failures spend their time. Number two, success and failure are more the result of your habits than anything else. You must develop success habits and make them your masters. And you must learn those success habits from other successful people whose achievements you admire. Number three, remember, and this is the key to understanding economics, is the key to understanding marketing. It's the key to understanding why things go wrong in our society, even with the best of intentions. And it is that everyone is naturally, that means by nature, lazy, greedy, ambitious, selfish, ignorant, and vain. Now, this is neither good nor bad. It's just a fact of life. It is only the way people demonstrate these qualities that makes them either good or bad. It is always the actions. not the qualities themselves. We know also, number 4, that everyone wants the same things. You and I, we all want the same things, though often with different degrees of intensity. We all seek security, comfort, leisure, love, respect, and fulfillment. Number 5, the natural human tendency is to seek the fastest and easiest way to get the things we want right now, with little or no concern for the long-term consequences of our action. And the tendency to seek the fastest and easiest way almost invariably leads us to engage in actions that cause us to fail in the long term. Number 6, the ability to discipline yourself to delay gratification in the short term in order to enjoy greater rewards in the long term is the indispensable prerequisite for success. And finally, number 7, when you develop the habit of self-discipline, you free yourself from the E factor. With self-discipline come the feelings of self-esteem, self-confidence, pride, and satisfaction that are the great treasures of the human experience. And one more point, one of the most important things I've ever learned, a philosophic point if you like. Your values, your true beliefs are always expressed and only expressed in your actions. It is not what you say, and it is not what you intend, but what you do that signifies what you really believe. If you engage in the actions of successful people, if you practice the same principles and live by the same rules, you will eventually come to be exactly like them in your beliefs. We will look at the 10 vital principles of success, achievement, and peak performance. Living by these 10 principles will enable you to accomplish anything you really want in life.